evening. This is The View with Catherine Chang. Our topic today is It Takes Two to Tango, the tango of Tedros and China. Just after Tedros made false accusations against Taiwan, the Chinese Minister of Foreign Affairs backed Tedros up and even criticized Taiwan again, pointing out that some Taiwanese attempt to use what I call, he said, use the epidemic for independence. And almost at the same time, the Taiwan Affairs Office of the State Council of China also criticized the ruling party DPP for seeking independence through epidemic, attempt to use the epidemic to undermine the One China policy and also try to get into WHO. I mean, the whole thing is what China said. But I want to say that the whole thing is just about COVID-19. How come it will have any relationship to China or One China policy? I want to point out to WHO, Dr. Tedros, that Taiwan's success in fighting COVID-19 has become a world model. Taiwan has every reason to become a member of WHO. Do not forget, the Republic of China is one of the founding members of the WHO in 1948. Due to the pressure of China, the ROC exiled in 1972. So who's the one that political overriding public health? Mr. Tedros, you said that Taiwan has been criticizing you for 3 months. But do you know what? 3 months ago, Taiwan was in the middle of presidential election. No one really cares what you were doing. So my conclusion is, you have long known that China has a very serious virus outbreak. But you and China have worked together to conceal the outbreak. Tedros and China, just like two dancers dancing tango. The flying dance just to prevent Taiwan from getting into WHO. However, with the global pandemic gone out of control, this double tango has become as annoying as a circus. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz said that as Taiwan rises, China falls. But I'm wondering, before China falls, will Tedros fall before China? Here are the top stories. Today, we have 2 confirmed cases, and all imported, and 1 death case. The death case was a 70-year-old male, and he's one of the members of the Egypt group tour. Now, let's talk about WHO. Now, we'll talk about WHO because Tedros replied a total of 37 tweets within 24 hours after press conference. And you know what? The tweets are all about how he and WHO did a good job in the fighting against COVID-19. Facing all these allegations, I think he seems to be a little bit over-optimistic. And this morning in Taiwan, the Bureau of Investigation pointed out that there is Chinese netizen pretended as Taiwanese posting the content of fake apology to Tedros. After an investigation, there is a total of 224 cases of false information as of 8th of April. Most of the fake news come from China. Also, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Joseph Wu, said that the spread of the virus does not distinguish, the virus does not really distinguish between national borders and nationalities. And WHO's continued restriction on the participation are unreasonable and irresponsible. Also, Executive Yuan Premier Su Chang, he criticized Dr. Tedros. He said he lost his professionalism and justice. He's not capable for what the position is. And also, I would like to talk about this. Let me introduce you to today. There's a very sweet Taiwanese girl studying in UK. Well, she's kind of famous because she wrote a letter to Tedros and asked him to apologize. She said that as a student who has been working closely with Taiwanese and British medical and health-related NGOs, she's confirmed there's never been any disrespectful comments from our country, our government, or diplomats. And that's what she wrote. And this is like everybody said, well, she wrote a good letter and speak well. Actually, now I want to mention about a very famous hashtag. This kind of hashtag is what? This is the hashtag that these attacks come from China or come from Taiwan. I want to talk about this is the attack from from Taiwan, not China. What kind of attack? It's not a missile. It's a very good food. What is a very good food? You know, I'm talking about good food, and very interesting because over there is some bubble tea or Taiwanese fried chicken. That'll be very interesting. So I think Tedros should come over to Taiwan and test for yourself. Of course, if Tedros come over to Taiwan, you probably have to stay 14 quarantine. So that will be very interesting. But if you come over here, everybody is busy with this trade and just to show you how we attack you with nice food. And there are various things here. And I will talk about that. There are several. Dr. Tedros have a lot of things to handle. First, an online petition calling for the resignation of WHO director, and actually is already reached to 800,000 people. And second, U.S. Senator Todd Young called on Tedros to appear before the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Subcommittee. And I know that he wants him to answer questions about the organizations handling the coronavirus pandemic. Of course, I don't think the United States can really force him to be there, but it's like a slap in his face. U.S. President Donald Trump's son responded and also retweeted a tweet. He said that he agreed with this saying after China virus died. U.S. should immediately recognize Taiwan. Well, I wonder whether Donald Trump will agree or not, and I wonder how Xi Jinping will react. The United States Congressman Guy Rocher and post to freeze U.S. funds for WHO. Well, the act, how come it's so interesting? Because it rarely point out what we call PRC and ROC. Here is the content. It said, the ROC warned the WHO that COVID-19 could be transmitted human to human, but the WHO ignored their warning as not to offend the PRC. Now, I don't know, some of you may be in Taiwan, but I know that Taiwan has become very popular now. The word Taiwan has become a trending word on Google. Well, I can show you this line. Well, the upper line here is Taiwan, the red one. Well, starting from here, you can see Tedros is like really like a flat line. But on the date, April the 8th, he criticized Taiwan like for 3 minutes. And the Taiwan, you can see the Google here, is go up all the sky high. And also, Taiwan donation, more than 16 million masks to the world, now already reach Europe. And now reach Europe, we know there are 7 million of them for European countries. The first batch was arrived in the Netherlands. And the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, treats that she really appreciates the help from Taiwan. And talking about the help, do you remember Father Giuseppe Didone? He raised more than 100 million NT dollars for her hometown. But, because at that time, people in Taiwan just donated. And an Italian newspaper business said that Taiwanese people are really warm-hearted and always reply with kindness and also repay whatever they receive. This is well said. That's what we Taiwanese do. We always be very kindness. And I just want to say that Taiwan is helping. Taiwan can help. Taiwan can be trusted. And also an Indian media wild editor. You remember Sherman. Now, Sherman, when she talked about, remember several times ago, she said something about China when China asked them not to report Taiwan due to one China policy. And she said that's not possible because China don't understand that India is an independent country. That's what she said. She said when China was pointing fingers at other countries, Taiwan's doctors were collaborating with hospitals across the continent. So this is about today's view, and I know that we still have some footage coming up, but I want to tell you a story, actually two stories. One story is about a Japanese girl. A Japanese girl, in Taipei, she tried to line up to buy the mask, but she didn't get the right information. And after 1.5 hours, she know that she couldn't buy it. And then what happened? She burst out crying. So all the people were just like, wow, what happened? Oh, you're from Japan? Not just from Japan, but she's a foreigner. She just be here. So everybody tried to give her the mask. Eventually, she get like 20 masks of it. And also, there is a letter. This is a letter. I want to say that this is a letter, a message to Catherine. This is a message to Catherine Catherine, one of our audience from Canada. He said that during Catherine and the Era News team, thank you for providing great informative news during this sensitive time. And he said he's a Canadian living in Toronto with some connection with Taiwan. He said the English version of your broadcast is welcoming and hopefully the view will gain viewership to provide English-speaking audience. And also, he said something about he been visit Taiwan for several times. He always feel a special connection to the item. And also, he said that he hoped that in Canada, all his friends work in the hospital will be able to purchase or receive donations from Taiwan. Okay, good. We'll pass this message. And today, we know that there's the Netherlands Trade and Investment Office representative, Guy Wittich. Let's see what he had to say about Taiwan's donation.
We think that Taiwan's meaningful participation in the World Health Organization would benefit the world, and to share Taiwan's experience. I'd like to thank Taiwan very much for their very generous donation to the Netherlands of the masks, which will help our frontline people in the hospitals, our doctors and nurses, to be much better protected against this pandemic.
不客气，不客气. You are welcome, Mr. Representative. That will be the view for today. I'm Catherine Chang. I'll see you next Monday.